of you out there in YouTube land doing today? I hope you all are having as great a day as I had today. Now the sun may be gone and the strong winds and rain came in yesterday. So now my lovely wife has more branches and twigs to pick up out in the yard. No, I'm just kidding. So in my last video of NC Audits, I asked you all which frauditard you wanted to see next. There was only 2 votes, one by Sailor XXXXX and Squatchman123, who both voted for News Now Alaska. So News Now Alaska it'll be. So we're going to expose Brandon from way up there in Wasilla, Alaska. Brandon is a 45-year-old fraud who's had at least 5 protection orders against him. He's had 36, yes, 36 vehicle and traffic charges, but get this, I can only find 2 criminal charges on him. That's all I could find, which really shocked me. So without further ado, let's see what a terrible driver Brandon is. And oh, by the way, before I even start, I want to warn you all, Brandon is another one of those frauditards who doesn't pay his fines over 95% of the time. Just wanted you all to be prepared. So if you're going to get angry, you might want to get it out of your system right now. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to go back too far to June 18th, 1998. And in Multnomah County, Oregon, he picked a violation of a basic rule. He was convicted a whole week later. He just walked in the door and paid a $15 fine. Now we go just over a year, and on September 17th, 1999, he picks up a driving while license canceled, suspended, revoked, or limited, which is a traffic misdemeanor up in Palmer, Alaska, and that charge was dismissed. Just go ahead 5 days, and on September 22nd, 1999, he's charged again with driving while license canceled, suspended, revoked, or limited, again out of Palmer. He pled no contest to driving without a valid driver operator's license. He was given a $300 fine and fees, which he never, ever paid. Now we go ahead 4 years to September 18th, 2003. He's charged with proof of insurance to be carried and exhibited on demand in Palmer, Alaska. He pled no contest. He was given a $185 fine and fees. He paid $50, and $130 was sent to collections for non-payment. Now we go ahead just a month, just a couple weeks actually here, and on October 6th, 2003, proof of insurance to be carried and exhibited on demand again, this time out of Wasilla, Alaska. He pled no contest. He was given $185 in fine and fees, which he's never paid. And then we go ahead 4 months to February 4th, 2004. Proof of insurance to be carried and exhibited on demand. He doesn't seem to like to show his insurance card for some reason. Anyways, that one was out of Palmer, Alaska. He pled no contest. He got a $185 fine, of which he's only paid $10, and $175 was sent to collections for recoupment. 5 months later, he's charged with speeding. He was 10 to 19 miles per hour over the speed limit in Palmer. Default judgment because he did not show up to court. $148 fine and fees was assessed. He paid $10, and $138 was sent to collections for non-payment. Then we go ahead a few months, and on, February 8th, 2005, again, proof of insurance to be carried and exhibited on demand in Palmer, Alaska. There was a default judgment because he did not show up to court. And $210 fine and fees was assessed, of which he paid $12. $198 bill was sent to collections for non-payment. And we're going to go ahead now to February 9th, 2005. He's charged with speeding again, this time in Palmer, Alaska. 10 to 19 miles per hour over. Default judgment because he didn't bother going to court. He was given a $164 fine and fees, which he's never paid. And then on March 31st, 2005, he's charged with proof of insurance to be carried and exhibited on demand, and that's out of Palmer, Alaska. It was kind of confusing there. Said it was corrected and dismissed, but it also says something about a $160 fine. So I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll go on. And the second charge that day was failure to register a vehicle, which was Palmer, Alaska. Default judgment again. He did not show up to court. Electronic process only with a $150 fine. There's nothing further in the court case. And then the same day, on March 31st, 2005, failure to stop for a steady red traffic signal. Default judgment, he did not show up in court. $210 fine and fees, which he's never paid. Now on June 24th, 2005, he got a speeding ticket out of Anchorage, Alaska for 10 to 19 miles per hour over. Default judgment for a $188 fine, and there was nothing further on the court case. June 29th, 2006, a year later, he picks up 2 charges, speeding. He likes to drive fast, which I don't blame him. I like driving fast too. He was 10 to 19 mile per hour over. He didn't show up in court. He was given a default judgment for that. $164 fine and fees, which he's never paid. And again, he didn't have his insurance card to be carried and exhibited on demand. Default judgment, he did not show up in court. $210 fine and fees, which he's never, ever paid. And we go ahead 6 months, and on December 1st, 2006, proof of insurance to be carried and exhibited on demand out of Palmer, Alaska. I must wonder if there's some sovereign citizen ideology behind this guy, too. Anyways, that was a default judgment, $210 fine and fees. Guess what? He's never, ever paid. We go to March 9th, 2007, proof of insurance to be carried and exhibited upon demand. Default judgment again, $210 fine and fees, which he's never, ever paid. Which, if I hadn't read over and over and over in every single one of these court cases where they had sent him repeated certified letters to let him know, I would say maybe he doesn't know he owes this money, but he knows. He's just being a fucktard, not paying any of his fines. And now we're going to go to April 4th, 2007. He picks up 2 charges out of Palmer, Alaska. Taillight requirements, default judgment. He did not show up to court. $100 fine. He paid $1.99. Bill for $99 was sent to collections. Proof of insurance again to be carried and exhibited upon demand. Default judgment, $210 fines and fees. He paid $10 of his bill, and a bill for $200 was sent to collections for non-payment. On April 30th, 2007, again, proof of insurance to be carried and exhibited on demand. Another default judgment, $210 fine and fees. He paid $10 of that, and a bill for $200 was sent to collections for non-payment. And then we go ahead a week, and on May 9th, 2007, he gets charged with proof of insurance to be carried and exhibited again. I wonder if he even had insurance. It must be he doesn't, because he got fined again, $210, which he's never paid. And on June 11th, 2007, he had a speeding ticket. The speed was not given on that one. It was a default judgment, the electronic process only, so it must have been one of those speed cameras. Well, $196 fine, and I don't remember whether he paid that one or not. And on June 11th, 2007, he was also charged with failure to wear a seatbelt. Default judgment out of the electronic process only, a $65 fine out of Palmer, Alaska. On 9/10/2007, proof of insurance to be carried exhibited on demand out of Palmer again. Default judgment, $210 fine. Must be he paid some of these and others he didn't. September 10th, 2007, again, same day, charged with speeding 4 to 9 miles per hour over. Default judgment and a $132 fine. On January 15th, 2009, he's picked up, charged with failure to stop for a stop sign in Palmer, Alaska. Default judgment, he did not show up in court, $160 fine and fees, which he has never paid. And we go on to page 4 of his vehicle and traffic violations. And on May 11th, 2009, unauthorized use of a handicap parking spot in Palmer, Alaska. Default judgment for $160 fine and fees, which he's never paid. On June 12th, 2009, he picks up 3 charges: speeding in a speeding in a school zone, 3 to 9 miles per hour over in Anchorage. No left outside mirror, which is a traffic violation out of Anchorage, Alaska. And he had tinted windows. Now, all 3, he was given a default judgment because he did not show up in court. He was given a $180 fine for the speeding. He never paid. Default judgment for the no left outside mirror, $120 fine. He never paid. And the tinted windows, he was fined $210, which he's never, ever paid. Now, on September 8th, 2009, just 3 months later, he picks up 2 charges again: tinted window and proof of insurance to be carried and exhibited on demand. Those 2 were out of Palmer, Alaska. The default judgment on the tinted windows was $210, which he's never, ever paid. And the insurance, they whacked him hard this time. They gave him a $1,060 fine and fees. Doesn't matter because he doesn't pay, and he never paid that one. So, May 13th, 2010, the proof of insurance to be carried and exhibited on demand out of Palmer. Default judgment, another $1,060 fine and fees, which doesn't matter. He doesn't pay. Let's see, June 17th, 2011, he was out on a boat in Palmer, Alaska. Personal flotation device required for each person on board. Default judgment because he didn't show up in court, and he was given a $160 fine and fees, which he's never, ever paid. I don't know why they bother giving this guy fines. He never pays them, and they never seem to go after him for him, other than, sending them to collections. I think they should snatch him up, and he should do, let's see, for every $10 a day in jail for every $10. Yeah, he would have done 16 days on that one. Or he would have come up with money really quick. So we go ahead 4 years now, and on December 14th, 2015, he's charged with operating a vehicle with expired registration, a traffic violation out of Palmer, Alaska. Default judgment because he didn't show up in court, $150 fine and fees, which he's never, ever paid. And on January 28th, 2024, 9 years later, he was a pedestrian must not create unreasonable risk or interfere with the normal flow of traffic out of Wasilla, Alaska. He was found guilty on that charge last year and given a $60 fine and fees, which, again, he's never, ever paid. 2 criminal charges, again, is all I could find on him. Let's see, January 25th, 2024, he was charged with disorderly conduct in Wasilla, Alaska. That charge ended up getting dismissed by a very concerned DA or ADA or prosecutor who decided to let him go. And just a month later, on February 20th, 2024, he gets picked up for criminal trespass 2nd degree. He's going to fight that charge. That one was out of Palmer, Alaska, and he's got a pretrial conference on March 17th, 2025. Now, we've got several civil cases here, and it looks like on June 15th, 2008, a stalking or protective order was given to him. Well, actually, it didn't end up giving him to him. High K. Miller was the petitioner in that one, and there was actually a change of venue because of where Brandon lived. And then we got June 15th, 2008, Robert Inman also tried to put a stalking or protective order against him. They had the change of venue from Anchorage to Palmer, Alaska, up above. One day later, on June 16th, 2008, both of them again tried to put stalking or protective orders on him. And they ended up being dismissed because neither one of them showed up in court. It just wasn't that important to them, I guess. So now we go ahead 7 years. On January 5th, 2015, Chantel White puts a temporary order of protection against Brandon. The temp order was granted, and a few days later, on January 23rd, the case was dismissed. Now we go ahead just 2 days, and Brandon turned around and put one on Chantel, and the temporary order was granted. But again, on January 23rd, when they went into court, it was also dismissed. Now, on March 27, 2020, Richard Allen Kozlowski filed a small claims case against Brandon. It was greater than $2,500 in Palmer, Alaska, but it ended up getting dismissed. Now, on August 19th, 2024, Richard Allen Olrun filed a small claims greater than $2,500 case against Brandon in Palmer, and it said the last line on the case states 12/31/24 non-agreement. Now, I don't know if it means case is dismissed or if it's going to go forward or there's no agreement, so nothing happens. I could not tell you. We got his header. We really don't have a lot in it. News Now Alaska. Brandon Christopher, block out his last name there, of course. He was born in August of 1980. He's got an address there in Wasilla, Alaska. I have to cross out. And in 2020, he gave the address of Willow, Alaska, during a case. And let's see, we had a phone number for him there. I don't know if that's any good anymore or not. We blocked that out so we don't get in trouble. Here's his 2 email addresses that I could find for him. Again, I got to block out the carrier because I don't want to anger any frauditard who's going to file a privacy strike against me, because I just don't want to do that. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Brandon should never, ever be allowed to drive again with a track history like that. Well, what do you all think of Brandon and his 36 vehicle and traffic charges? Let us all know down below in the comments. I want to thank you all for your continued support and keeping this channel going. Without all of you, this channel would certainly die off. If you're just visiting today and like what we do, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and the bell. And of course, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up button and send our algorithm through the roof. We have a Patreon page, ladies and gentlemen, where we show all of the unedited information that we can't show here on YouTube. And because of YouTube and whiny ass, bitch ass frauditors who only approve of transparency when it's about someone else and not them. Now the ODMP, the Officer Down Memorial page, is still telling us that 13 law enforcement officers have died in the line of duty so far this year. This time last year, we were already at 28 officers having died in the line of duty. So only being at 13 is very, very good. Let's see, the bluehelp.org page is telling us that the law enforcement officers' suicides remains at 19. That's where we were just a couple of days ago. Now, the good news, the Audit Them records have been paid for, and I was told today that it could take up to 72 hours for them to get the records to me. So I thought next week we would expose Big Mike, or next up, I'm sorry, we would expose Big Mike audits from Michigan. Or how about Wolverine transparency? That's just for something to do until Shotties audit them's records come back. So until then, you all take care out there and don't you work too hard.